Hello there, it's Blue Triceratops here, back yet again with another Wi-Fi battle, and this one is going to be a bit of a tutorial breakdown, so if any of you out there are interested in watching competitive 6v6 games and learning a little bit about how to control things like momentum, how to pull an effective double switch, and how to break through a stall team, well, this should be a video to help you. So we're going to look at how the two teams stack up. I'm running mono bug, as is my preferred style to run monotypes, and I do run the bug gym, so it's only fitting. My opponent is on the battle spot passerby system, you know the one, and it is a full stall team. We have, just in case you don't know, I'm going to run through them real quick. We have a specially defensive normal type wall in Blissey. It could have aromatherapy, and it most definitely has soft boiled, could have seismic toss, and it's only weak to physical fighting type attacks. Then we have a Pangoro, again weak to physical fighting type attacks. It has phasing moves and plenty of elemental coverage. Then we're on to Trevenant, a physically defensive wall, very commonly found with Will-O-Wisp and Leech Seed, as well as a Citrus Berry, along with its harvest ability means that it keeps recycling Leech Seed, harvesting the Citrus Berry, spamming Protect, and you do very little damage to it on the physical side. It's also a ghost type, so it negates the fighting weakness of the previous two mons. Then we have a poison water Tentacruel, another fighting type resist, as well as resisting fire type attacks aimed at either the Trevenant or the Ferrothorn, and Ferrothorn itself is a mixed defensive wall with Leech Seed, Protect, Stealth Rocks, Spikes, T-Wave, Gyro Ball, and then we have Gliscor, which famously runs Toxic Orb, Poison, Heal, Protect, Substitute, Earthquake, possibly even a Fling acrobatic set that I've seen on rare occasions. So, looking at a stall team, how do I get through it? Well, we have to look at the Pokemon I have and find out which get positive matchups against his team, and then we're looking to make that our win condition. We want to bring that into play against a weak Pokemon of his, and then be able to either set up or go for super effective hits that can break down his walls. So, we have Armaldo with ground and rock type attacks, nothing it can really hit. We have Galvantula, again, nothing it can really hit. There's only one water type and he has a ground type to cover it, and my coverage being Energy Ball won't be able to hit it either. We do have a fire type which will be great, but only after we remove Tentacruel. Next up we have Durant with Hone Claws and 3 attacks. It's going to be very, very valuable because Durant is a wall breaker in the truest sense, so I want to keep Durant alive, be able to set up with it when I know my opponent is going to protect, and then proceed to wreck shop from there. I have a Mega Scizor. This one does not have Swords Dance though. It's, I think, Bullet Punch, Roost, Knockoff, and U-Turn. And then we have 4 special attacks, fully specially invested Genesect. This is my only source of ice damage on the team. It has Flamethrower, Ice Beam, and therefore it's going to be absolutely great to get a 4 times effective Ice Beam onto that Gliscor. So the matchups I want are going to be Genesect versus the Gliscor, Ferrothorn, Trevenant, because I have special effective hits against each of them. I have the option to get in a good knockoff against Blissey or against Trevenant by using my Scizor, but I need to be careful of burns. Again, I need to be careful of burns with the Durant, but if I do get it in correctly and set up Hone Claws on his Protect or his Substitute, I will be able to absolutely wreck shop with Durant, and well, hopefully not Substitute, but you know what I mean. And then we have Volcarona. It could be fantastic. It should hit hard against most of his team, but only after I remove Tentacruel, and probably need to remove Blissey or have several Quiver Dances set up before Blissey gets in. So jumping right in, we have an Armaldo lead because I was torn between going with Armaldo or Galvantula. They're both generally leads that I like to use in different situations, but I was afraid he would go with the Gliscor, so I didn't go for a Galvantula because I wouldn't be able to Volt Switch out, it's immune to it, and I set up Stealth Rocks thinking he's going to go for Protect on his first turn, because of course he would. And instead, my opponent predicts the Stealth Rocks. He doesn't go for Protect because you don't need to Protect if there's no damage coming towards you. Instead, he goes for a free knockoff. That's good for him, bad for me. I lose an item, but now I'm going to swap straight into Genesect because I know it'll take whatever hit that thing wants to throw. I was predicting a Toxic, and instead he goes for an Earthquake, so he gets a nice neutral hit off on my Genesect, but I'm now swapped in with the matchup that I want. Now, At this point, I'm going to go for the Ice Beam because I wanted to find out what type of set that thing had, whether it was going to simply spam Substitute Protect or find out if it was going to swap into something else. He does swap into the Tentacruel. Tentacruel is going to take this Ice Beam easily, and now I am put under pressure. My opponent has momentum once more. He gets to choose what happens, and I am on the back foot. My Genesect can't do anything to this Tentacruel. He gets free reign, so I have to make a hard swap. That's what we mean when we say momentum moving back and forth. He gets to choose what's happening. So I'm going to swap back into my Scizor because I want to save Genesect for later. I need it against the Gliscor. My opponent knows that too, so he's going to do everything he can to remove my Genesect. So in with Scizor, I go for the Mega Evolution, and then I'm going to go straight for the knockoff because I want to be able to remove this thing's ability to restore itself, because that's going to allow my Volcarona to be a threat later on. I just have to get rid of Blissey and get rid of Tentacruel for Volcarona to win, and that's basically it. If I can get rid of Tentacruel, it also opens up my Genesect to have many more targets to hit. So I do manage to take it out with Bullet Punch, and my opponent wisely let it stay in to die, even though it's a valuable Pokemon for him, because I have Stealth Rocks up on the field, and if he swapped it out to swap in something else to take the Bullet Punch, it would still lose the Tentacruel anyway on swapping it back in, because Stealth Rocks would end up taking it out. Now, I go for a Roost in this thing's face, thinking it's going to phase me out. It's got that Circle Throw move, I think it's called Circle Throw, that phases me out, and it would work with the Toxic Spike setup, but no, instead he has Fire Punch for 4 times super effective hit. It doesn't take me down, so I'm going to U-turn back out. I know a fire attack is coming, and I have Armaldo or Volcarona that can take that and handle it quite nicely. So I decide, here's my opportunity. Tentacruel is down, he only has Blissey. I can take fire punches for days off of this thing. Poison doesn't matter because I have the leftovers, so I can go for Quiver Dance, I can go for Fiery Dance, build up special attack enough that I can simply break through anything that he has. It will break through a Gliscor, it would get through a Blissey with 1 or 2 boosts, and so I do keep going for it. Thankfully, I do get the burn, which is going to reduce any physical damage coming off of this thing. He doesn't swap out again because he's simply letting his Pangoro die at this point. There's no point in bringing it back in. If it's got a burn later on, it's not going to be worth anything. So instead, he simply lets it die, and so that he can get into another Pokemon. And when I'm thinking about it at this point, I realize that he still has Blissey in the back. He still has that all-important Gliscor, which is going to be an absolute pain in the ass. I have my Volcarona on the field though, which is nice, and I realize this Gliscor, I probably won't be able to take it out, and I know what I want to do. So I swap out, I go straight into Genesect, and I'm going to repeat the play that I did at the start of the game, because I made it so obvious that I have Ice Beam. I'm going to swap in again, here's the Ice Beam, my opponent is going to switch because he doesn't want the Ice Beam. So same thing here, I'm going to take the neutral Earthquake, I'm going to survive it because I know I can with this Genesect. I'm going to threaten him with the Ice Beam, but I am going to switch. So this was a double switch. I go straight from Volcarona into Genesect, and then straight from Genesect into Durant, because Durant is going to be super effective against whatever he wanted to bring in. He was either going to bring in Blissey, or Trevenant, or Ferrothorn. And I have good matchups against all of those with Durant. I can set up against them. So Trevenant has the chance of Will-O-Wisping me. I'm not going to let it have any possible attempt at setting up substitutes or leech seeds. I'm going to keep on the offensive pressure because this thing keeps bringing its health back up, so you need to be able to toxic it or threaten it out with a really powerful super effective hit, or simply keep attacking it and bring its health down more than it is able to recover. It's not able to risk a turn to set up Leech Seed. It does thankfully miss on a Will-O-Wisp here, and it means that I'm able to bring it down. So he has to swap out here. It's great because it's going to take more Stealth Rocks damage when it comes back, and now in comes the Ferrothorn. Now this thing is a bit of a threat, and crucially I'm only going to get a neutral hit here, so look at that HP. Combined with the fact that he has leftovers on this thing, it means that this is going to be 3-hit KO. And that's without him spamming Protect in between. So if he's going to go for Protect next, I'm going to read that opportunity to go for Hone Claws, because obviously he's going to Protect, get his leftovers, heal up as much as he can on every second turn, throw out Leech Seed and bring me down that way. That's his only option for killing Durant with the Ferrothorn. So I'm going to go for the Hone Claws when I know he's going to go for the Protect. That means I can now take like 70% of his HP in one hit. So Ferrothorn drops, and now his next option is going to be either a very weak Trevenant, which is going to be outsped, or he has Blissey, which is going to take Iron Heads to the face and not be able to threaten my Durant back either, and he only has Gliscor left to threaten the thing. I'm going to go for a Rock Tomb because, well, simply because I could. I didn't know if this thing was going to outspeed me or not. However, after Rock Tomb, it most certainly won't outspeed me, and it's going to get slowed. Obviously, Rock Tomb drops your speed by 1. There's the Iron Head. That's going to drop it down right into the red, unfortunately. My opponent does get flinched because, well, that's what Iron Head does, a 30% flinch chance, I believe. And my opponent forfeits because he was going to get outsped. That would have killed the Gliscor. He would then have nothing left to stop Durant. Blissey couldn't handle it, and Trevenant would have probably gone down to rocks by the time it swaps back in. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something about this, reading your matchups, looking for your super effective hits, and the ability to set up against stall types when they go for Protect, Substitute, or status moves. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll see you around next time for some more Wi-Fi battles. Bye-bye.